Okay, so we're here today. We will be talking about the setting up of the project here in Dev C++. And for this video, this will show you on setting up the recent discussion that I had for setting up your application with having three files: the main, the config file, .h, and the other config for C. So basically, first thing that you have to do is you have to open the folder, find a specific location in which clear or maybe an empty location where you can possibly put your program. So in my case, I might use the music folder in this program, and I will create here a new folder. So I would suggest you create your folder again somewhere that does not part of any projects or C files or dev C files. So I'll name this as sample application, and then sample C application. And then I will open this folder, and here is the location where I'll be saving the current project that we will make in this video. So next one is you just have to create, in case at some point that when you open DevC and you don't see the project view, you will have to just click the view and just click the project browser in that sense. And then once it's happening, and then here you can add file, create a new project. Once a project is created, in this part of the code, we will select console. And since the language we're currently using is C programming, select C programming. Make the default language and the project name. Make sure that the project name has no space or special characters in it. Again, console application and just click OK. Now, find the location that you just created or the folder we just created. In this case, I saved that location in the folder, and this is the folder. You get inside that folder and then just save the file as .dev. Save it, and then this will be created. This default main will be created. Next is you'll just have to clean this one up, remove the comment, and I'm just gonna remove the current arrangement for this one. And then, if that's okay, that's just clean for now. We have to save this by clicking Control S. Again, Control S. When you click Control S, this will appear. And then the format that we're gonna save this is main.c or C source file. Then just save it. Once saved, it will be viewed here. So you can see that the file is here under main.c. Now I'm gonna create a new file under this project, and we will start the coding in setting up our first header file using the C programming. So in this program, I'm gonna write a code, and I'm gonna define this current file as our new header file. And then I'm gonna build here our structure content. Let's say users and you, and the member of this current structure, which is the user ID, the name of the user, email. We also have for password, and we also have for uh, user type. We call this as type lang. And we also have for status, also 20. I'm just gonna make sure that this one can cater multiple data or multiple characters. more than 100 or exactly 100 data in them. And then once this is configured, I'm gonna create the prototype for our add user functionality, in which this functionality allows the program to add the data to our CSV file. Since this is a prototype, we're not going to declare the function declaration here. This is the prototype, since this header file will be used on the different files we'll be creating later. So I'm gonna create here struct user view, and then just end the file using end if. Okay. Once the code is done, you just have to save this. Again, you click Control S. Control S. Now, do not save it yet. You'll have to change the file name into config, and the extension would be the header file. Do not forget to do this. Change it into header file, and the extension is config.h. Save it, and then it will be added here automatically. Now, another one is we're gonna have to create another file. You just have to again right click the sample application. We're gonna create another new file, and here we will define our functions. All functions in your code should be placed here, and hopefully you can design a function that would be recyclable, or in that sense can be reused by a multiple functionality later as you develop or as you progresses with your program. So the first one right now is macro include stdio.h. We also have we will also be including the config we just created, since naman dito, or it was the prototype of the function was there. And here we will be defining the declaration or the content of that function. So here will be declared the add user coming from here, and the design of this would be like this. So we're gonna use struct user u, and then the content of the function is file creation. Pointer file is equals to fopen. Actually, here is the data type in creating a file, and this is our variable for the control of the file that will be created. Another one here is fopen. Fopen is a function that allows you to control or to manipulate or somehow open the CSV or the file that will be created in this program. I will name this file as users.csv. Now, the action here would be append or A. Now, using the file, we have to check if in case that file is not available, we're gonna have to create a condition that checks if the file is null. Null means actually empty. If the file is empty, then we can give a prompt to the user that there's going error in opening the file. So I'm gonna create a prompt. Now, after that, we're just gonna make sure that it's gonna be returning, or it's gonna end. The program will end if the file is error. Now, if unless it's error, we're gonna have to write inside that file, since we just open it. If it's opened successfully, then we're gonna have to write data content in it. So the data content here, we have to make sure that this one has its own value that it will receive. So from ID, name, email, password, and type, that's a total of 6 data, and one is integer, and the rest is character. So what I will do is for the first one, the ID is character, integer, and the other five is a character. So I'm gonna use %s for the character and %d for the integer. So that's for the ID, for the name, email, password, type, and status. And do not forget to add \n. If a new record is added, that \n will help in the CSV file to figure out that the next data inputted would be on the next line, not on the same line. Now, if you structured it correctly, we can call you as the representative or someone that has the access to the user structure. Then we can use you the call operator or the dot operator, then we can now call the content of this current structure, which is do not forget, since there's s, we have to make sure that there's s also here, and here is s as well. And then now when you type u, that when you click that, this will appear. So first %d is designed for integer, so we're gonna call uid. Another u that s is name, u that email, u that password, u that type, and lastly is u that status. After the transaction, we're gonna have to close. This is a good practice to always close the current file to avoid reopening and disallowing another transaction. So we're just gonna have to close the file, and then once this everything is successful, then we can send a message to the user that added record is added. Just save it for now. \n. Again, Control S for saving. Save this and make sure that the file name is config.c and the file type is source file, and then save. So as you see in our files here, we currently have three files: the config.c, which is this one, config.h, where we defined our structure, and main.h, where we will write the code. Now, since we're done with the configuration, C and H, we're gonna continue with main.c. So I'm gonna write here a set of codes that allows a basic introduction of the first part of your application, something like that. No, so for the title of your system, next is, yeah, we're gonna have to make sure that since our system has a multi-user, we're gonna have to design a different, we call this as role-based access. This allows your program to make sure that the certain user is only capable of using that specific action. So we're gonna be putting an action here like login, sign up, that's number 2, and 3 is for the exit. Now we're gonna do printf for enter choice, enter choice, and this allows the user to somehow select the action he would want to happen. So we need a new variable here, %d, and the variable choice. So since we don't have a variable, I'm gonna create a variable choice. Next, since we have choice, we're gonna have to make sure switch choice, and then since we're gonna start this with case 1, break, another is case 2, break, then lastly is case 3, then break. Okay, so since case 1 for login, we don't have code for that yet, and 3 is exit, we don't have code for that yet as well, then ditso na lang ta, or we go directly to the case 2. Now, for the case 2, since we don't just allow anybody to access the registration, this also allows other user to just register an account. We have to put an extra security measure to make sure that anybody, or not just anybody, can access the registration form, because if they do, then if they register, then they can just log in anytime. So for now, I'm just gonna put a static admin code, which is, let's say, 1234, and you can change this anytime as the static admin code. And later on, I will also be teaching how to set that up in our storage. But for now, let's just use static one. And then I'm gonna create here a variable if, and I'm gonna add another variable for code. And then if code is not equals to the admin code we just set up, or 1234, then we will not allow the user to continue. So we're gonna put printf, we're gonna message invalid code \n, and then invalid code. You may contact the admin. Now, once it's done, we're gonna make sure that if it's error, we're gonna execute, or we're gonna terminate the program. And once if it's not terminated, then the user can continue entering its details, starting from its ID. So \n, I'm just gonna put space to that, enter ID, scanf, no, yeah, here, %d since it's an integer. And now we're gonna have to use the u since we're using structman. I haven't declared it yet. So okay, this is error choice. This is supposed to be comma. I'm gonna create a variable struct for users u, and that u will be the one to communicate, to call the ID from our structure. Can just copy this, paste it. Next is for the IDs. We're gonna enter the name. Do not forget to change this into S since name is character, and dot name. Okay, followed by email, password. Okay, followed by the name, the email, and lastly the password. Now, since it's email, now we're gonna call the password. Now, for our type, I have a separate discussion for this. Why do I need, or why do we need to have a user type and a user status? For now, let's just put it as is. Okay, I have a separate discussion for that. How is it important that we identify the type of user that's going to use the system, since I require you to have two users in the application. So for now, I'm going to use the strcpy function, and that strcpy function is that allows us to somehow call the variable for type and store the data that we want to store in that type. Strcpy is a shortened word for string copy. Whatever data that we wrote in the other side of the comma, the admin, will be stored in the utype variable. So that's how strcpy works. Now we can also do the same for the status. As for the status, this time we're just gonna use the word pending, which every account that will be registered is on its status of pending, and if it's active, then that's the only time that specific user can log in. But for now, let's just leave it as is. And last recipe of the code is we can use the method already, since this is not declared okay, I haven't declared the definition of config, so I'll have to go back here and make sure that to declare the config.h. Not only config.h, but I also forgot, since strcpy is a string functionality, it requires that library, specific library, before we can use this one. And the name of that library is string.h. So string.h is required for strcpy. Now lastly, since config now is accessible in this file, we can now use this specific function, the add user function. Just type add user and call the u. If you followed it well from the beginning and until here, what we have to do is to run the code. To run the code, you just click the 1, 2, 3, this third button, or F11. The shortcut is F11. Click this one. If there are no errors that will happen here, this program will execute correctly. That's what I hope. But wait, it's taking so long. It's currently compiling. I'm not sure why is it taking so long. Let me close that. I think it's still compiling, no? It's reading the program actually. Maybe it's my computer processing time, but hopefully it's gonna compile properly. Okay, so here's the continuation. I just fixed my dev C++, and I think it's already working now. So I just want to also remember, check from the last code. I forgot to put semicolon in this part of the code. So break, put the semicolon. Now when I run the program F11, so this one will be generated. But before I continue with this one, I just want also to clarify that this file has been saved in my current folder music, and then here. I'm just gonna put this out here, and I'm just gonna minimize this one into a smaller window, and hopefully there's no error as I execute this one. Now, the process that we're asking here is to make sure that the data is added to the CSV file. Now, also the reminder that the admin code that I set is 1234. So here's what I will do. I will be setting this up here. So when I click sign up, contact the admin. So I think there's some mistake here. Under choice, person D and choice. So since code, if code is not equals to 1001, okay, it's automatically contact the admin because the code here has no value yet. So here's what I will do. I will ask the user to enter the admin code, which is supposed to be accepted by the variable code. So when I run again the program, okay, and then I'm gonna make it a smaller one. Okay, so when I'm gonna run again the program, I'm gonna click sign up or select sign up here. It will ask for the admin code, and as it asks the admin code, I will be typing the 1234, which I set from the define. Let's say that the sample ID is 101, Mike, test, and test. Then the word record added is displayed. That means that the record is added successfully. And to confirm to confirm this one, you have to check in the folder, which is right here. You will see that a user's .csv file is created. So what you have to do is you can open this through Excel, or you can even open this using a notepad. You just right click, open with, and you can choose an application such as Notepad. So just once, you will see that the data is already added. Not only that it can be opened with Notepad, but it can also be opened with an Excel application. So here, when you see the Excel file, it is already added in the file. Now, let's add another data. So I'm just gonna close this one, and I'm gonna close this one. Let's run the program again, but this time just gonna remove the backslash, and I think it's not necessary anymore. Okay, I'm gonna run the program again. So we're gonna sign up. Admin code is 1234. ID is 102. Michael test at test.com, and then 1234. So record is added. When you check back again to the file or the folder where you created the folder, you can check in the users.csv that the other data is already added. So that's how we execute the current program. Again, here is the config.h, config.c, And lastly is the config.main. For your reference, here is the full code, the header file, the main file, the introduction, and the down part of the code. So hopefully that helps you. And yeah, I will be uploading more, continuing the creation of this program. Thank you and see you around.